Hello, children. Yesterday, in the previous session, I explained you about the electrolysis of brine solution. A few of the students, they asked me few questions related with one or two doubts were there. Still, I want to explain you that when I discussed about the electrolysis of brine solution, so there were doubts because I showed a slide in which the preferential discharge series was there. This was the series in which it was being mentioned that how the ions are being discharged at the anode or cathode when more than one ions are present. In this, it is shown on the slide also that the cations and anions, how they are being released on the cathode and anode. Fine. But one thing very important which I want to tell you, there are two very important factors which you should know about it. Either the concentration of the ion affects the discharge of the ions, or the position of the ions in the series, that also affect. I am beginning with that problem which students ask, कि ma'am, if chlorine is higher in concentration in the solution, then it is very correct that it will be discharged at the anode and the chlorine gas will be evolved. But when we see on the cathode, so there sodium, if sodium ions are more, then obviously the question which is arising, that is very right. Hydrogen gas should not be released. It should be sodium ion which should get discharged. In spite of its position, still as it is higher in concentration, it should be discharged. But beta, I want to tell you something very important, and after that I will start with the salts, other salts. If the cation, because every means the arrangement which can be seen on the slide, this is all based on the electrode potential, which is measured in V, volt. Fine. So I want to tell you that if the cation produced from the electrolyte in aqueous solution has higher value of standard electrode potential, higher value of standard electrode potential than that of the water, because water gets dissociated into hydrogen and hydroxyl ion, means it is producing positive ion also and negative ion also. So that is why we say that reduction and oxidation both are occurring in the case of water. This should be very clear to you. So repeating once again, if the cation produced from the electrolyte, I'm talking about cation. So here cation is Na plus and H plus. If the cation produced from the electrolyte, and what is the electrolyte? That is the sodium chloride, which is being dissolved in water. So if it has higher reduction potential than that of the water, the cation gets reduced at the cathode and the corresponding product is formed. Means, but if the reduction potential of cation is less, that is, reduction means the standard electrode potential, if it is less than that of water, the water get reduced and it produces hydrogen gas at the cathode. Now I want to mention you the electrode potential, because otherwise you will not understand. Reduction potential means how the sodium ion, it accepts one electron and changes into sodium atom. So its reduction potential will be there. So standard electrode potential of sodium ion is 2.71 volt and of water is minus 0.83 volt. So the value which is with the negative sign, if it is less, then that value will be more. Fine. So I have told right now that the reduction potential of sodium ion is minus 2.71, while it is of water, it is minus 0.83 volt. So which is higher? Higher is of water. So the reduction potential, that is the electrode potential of water, is greater than that of sodium ion. That is why sodium ion will not be liberated. Sorry, the sodium ion will be not liberated, while hydrogen gas will be liberated. Means the one which is having the higher electrode potential, that will only be liberated. One which is having the lower electrode potential will not be liberated. So here of sodium ion it is less and of water it is more. So that is why hydrogen ions will get discharge, not sodium ions. But when we are talking on the other side, that is on the anode, so the ions with a lower value of standard electrode potential should have a greater tendency to lose electron and should get oxidized first at the anode. See, this is not being asked. This will never be asked in your question papers and all, but still I just want to explain you, and you should not have any doubts. And still if you are having any doubt, we will discuss later. Let me just discuss about now the final reaction, a kind of a revision. This reaction which we did, that how the brine solution dissociate and gives three different products, that is sodium hydroxide, hydrogen gas and chlorine gas. This entire process in which we get these many products, this is also known as chlor-alkali process. Why we say chlor-alkali process? Because during this process we get chlorine also and we get an alkali also. So that is why this process is known as chlor-alkali process. Fine. I hope that you will not forget about it, because sometimes in the question paper it is being asked, explain the chlor-alkali process. So means what? That you have to explain the electrolysis of the brine solution. And brine solution should also be clear. The aqueous solution of sodium chloride is known as brine solution. Before proceeding to the further topic, I just want to tell you one very important part related with electrolysis. When we discussed about the electrolysis of water, children, listen to it carefully because it is not given anywhere in the book. So I want that you should have this information, that why only we use dilute sulfuric acid, not nitric acid, and even we don't use hydrochloric acid also. The reason behind is that hydrochloric acid and nitric acid, they are volatile in nature, they vaporize. That is why it is not being used. But sulfuric acid is a non-volatile acid, it do not evaporate, that is why it is being added. And same way here, if we are telling that why in a form of impurity, why we do not add sodium chloride, when sodium chloride also when added in the water makes it a good conductor because it breaks up into ions, then also we don't use sodium chloride. Because sodium chloride, if you are adding, again what will happen, there are the chances that on the anode, that is the positive side of the terminal, the liberation of chlorine gas can take place. So for smooth collection of the hydrogen and oxygen gas, we generally add sulfuric acid to get the hydrogen and oxygen gas by the electrolysis of water. And even for the you must have studied about the electrolysis of sodium chloride, and if not, then it's okay, we will be studying further in the chapter metals and non-metals, that how the highly reactive elements, they are being extracted from their compound. So we cannot get sodium from the electrolysis of aqueous solution of sodium chloride, because just now we have seen that on the cathode we get hydrogen gas, and on the anode we get chlorine. So we have to take molten sodium chloride, means the liquid form of sodium chloride, not the aqueous solution of sodium chloride. So this was all about this. Now I'm coming to the next topic. Yesterday I discussed about the bleaching powder. I hope that you are clear about it. Now we are going to start with the preparation, that is the reaction of the sodium bicarbonate. See, this is very important reaction, and I want that you should write and make a note that which equations are involved in the preparation of bleaching powder, soda, washing soda, and plaster of Paris. These are important four salts which you have to learn and practice also. So let me just first start with the preparation of baking soda. Now just see the ingredients, the reactants which are being used for the preparation of sodium bicarbonate. What is the sodium bicarbonate or sodium hydrogen carbonate? This is the chemical formula of baking soda, and this is the chemical name of baking soda. So make a note and write it down very clearly, which will help you out for the preparation of your exams and for your knowledge also. Now just see what they have taken. Summarize. NaCl plus water means you will say that when we pass ammonia gas and carbon dioxide through the aqueous solution of sodium chloride, we get ammonium chloride and sodium bicarbonate. I am repeating once again. When we pass two different gases, that is ammonia and carbon dioxide, through sodium chloride solution, that is aqueous solution of sodium chloride, we get sodium bicarbonate and ammonium chloride. It will help you out. Ammonia is passed, so this ammonia combines with this chlorine and form NH4Cl. Fine. Now this sodium bicarbonate is baking soda. Now we are coming to the next. See this equation, which is also known as Solvay process, because sodium carbonate is being prepared by this process only, and the reaction which is involved is in front of you. Children, the 2, 3, whatever the numbers they are written over here, they are in the subscript. So don't get confused due to some technical error. So this is written in this way, but you are not going to write in this way. This 3 should be written in the subscript. So sodium bicarbonate that precipitates out in the above reaction is filtered out from the hot ammonium chloride solution. Obviously, when it will be in the form of a precipitate, then it will settle and you can filter it, and the solution which is being filtered in the form of filtrate, and it is in the form of residue. Fine. Now we are coming to the next. This is the very important point which I am going to discuss about. The ingredients, see, it is given in your book also that we prepare baking powder from baking soda. Now, what is the difference between baking soda and baking powder? They both are not same. No, they are not same. This is very clear that baking powder is a mixture while baking soda is a pure substance. I am repeating, baking soda is a pure substance whose chemical formula is sodium bicarbonate. But baking powder is a mixture of sodium bicarbonate and a, a acid. It has to be an acid, and very mild acids are being added into it. The strong acids cannot be used. Fine. So what is the function of baking soda? When the baking soda we are being using, so then what happens that it allows the, means as it reacts, because when it is being heated, so what happens when baking soda is heated? I am showing you. When baking soda, that is sodium bicarbonate, is heated, it liberates carbon dioxide gas. This is not important, this is important. This carbon dioxide gas which is being released, this helps out, means when obviously if you must have heard about it while preparing, let it be the dough for cake or for bhatura, your mother is adding some amount of a pinch of baking soda into it, and even baking powder also. It, I will tell you the difference between it. And the question is also being asked that what is, if suppose your mother is only adding baking soda, not baking powder, then will she be able to prepare the cake? Yes, the cake will be fluffy also, it will be spongy also, because this carbon dioxide gas is released, which makes that cake or the whatever the edible item you have prepared, if you have added baking soda, it gives the softness to that edible item. Let it be, it can be dhokla also, it can be idli also. So many things are there which are spongy and which are very soft. And this is the reason why they become soft and spongy. This is all due to the addition of this baking soda, because when you heat, then it liberates carbon dioxide, and which makes that edible item spongy and fluffy. My question was, if you add only baking soda, not baking powder, in the that dough which you are preparing, then what will happen? So the cake will be soft and spongy, but it will be bitter in taste. Listen to me carefully. It will be bitter in taste. What is the reason behind it? Why it is bitter in taste? The reason is because when you are not adding mild acid into it, then what will happen? This sodium bicarbonate, which is alkali in nature, you can see the composition of the salt. If I'm just showing it to you, see this compound, and I have already told you how you assess the nature of the salt, how you come to know that what will be the nature of the salt, whether it will be acidic, basic or neutral. So when we see this compound, we can see this carbonate has come from carbonic acid, and this sodium has come from sodium hydroxide, which is a strong alkali. So obviously, which is the stronger one? Who is going to win the tug of war? This is the alkali which will win the tug of war, and the result will be the solution of the salt will be basic in nature, not acidic. And neither it will be neutral nor it will be acidic. It will be basic in nature. If I am saying basic in nature, means what? That the dough which you have prepared after adding the this baking soda, and when you are preparing the cake, so it will have a bitter taste, because this is only the property of the alkali or any base, that they are having the bitter taste. So definitely it will be bitter, and you will not be able to eat that cake, and your taste will also be spoiled. Fine. So to remove that bitterness, that basic nature of this salt, we add some amount of acid into this baking soda, and we prepare baking powder. Fine. So when we do that, so the nature of this salt neutralizes, and your cake which will be prepared, that will be tasty, that will not have bitter taste. So this is only the reason why we add acid into and that should be mild acid, that should not be the strong acid, otherwise it will spoil the quality of the your the salt or the item which you are preparing. Now I am coming to these are the uses I am discussing. When you know, and this the question is also being asked, what is the difference between baking soda and baking powder? So the very important the difference is this only. And see, when you are need to function, you just read it. Acid, that is cream of tartar, buttermilk, honey, cocoa, yogurt. This is all. That means these acids are being utilized to make the baking powder. And see the common uses, cookies. And but when you see the column of the baking powder, so they are used in making many of the products, like many of the edible items, like cakes, pastries, muffins, pies, biscuits, omelets, even in buns. Fine. So let me come to the another use where the this baking soda is being used, that is sodium bicarbonate. So you must have heard about the soda acid fire extinguisher. What is the role of this and how the arrangement is being done inside? This part which is being shown will not be shown when you are seeing the fire extinguisher from the outside. This is the internal arrangement of the bottles and the chemicals which are being utilized. You can see this glass bottle. This is made up of glass, and the liquid which is filled inside it, it is sulfuric acid. And this one where the salt is being added entire in this container, that is sodium bicarbonate. So when this sodium bicarbonate reacts with this acid, because I think so you are aware that when we have to utilize this fire extinguisher, we hit this nozzle which is being shown, we hit this nozzle against a hard surface. Let it be, it can be wall also, it can be on the floor also. You have to hit this. And when you are hitting, so this nozzles means which is being pressed, and what happens, this metallic thing which breaks this glass bottle, and the entire sulfuric acid mixes with the sodium bicarbonate which is inside this container. So when they will mix together, a reaction will start. And when the reaction starts, so what will happen, this sodium bicarbonate reacting with acid, this reaction I have already told you when I was teaching you about the properties of acids. Any metallic bicarbonate, when treated with acid, it will liberate which gas? Carbon dioxide. Formation of salt plus water plus carbon dioxide. And this is a nozzle. The gas which will be released, that is the carbon dioxide gas, will come from this nozzle, and the gas you can spring means you will allow that gas to come in the contact with the fire. So what will happen, carbon dioxide is a non-supporter of combustion, and it is heavy also, so it will spread on the surface and will not allow the oxygen to come in the contact with the fire. It should be very clear that oxygen is lighter than carbon dioxide. So oxygen will be at the above surface and carbon dioxide will be below that, and it will totally occupy the entire surface, means on the top of the fire the carbon dioxide will be means it will be there just like a blanket, and will not allow the further oxygen to come in the contact. And if oxygen is not coming in contact with the fire, the combustion will stop, and like this only the fire will also extinguish. So the very important use of sodium bicarbonate is it is used in soda acid fire extinguisher. So I hope you are clear about it. And this is also very clear that how we make the baking powder. Cream of tartar means tartaric acid which is being used. This acid should be known to you, and learn this. Tartaric acid when mixed with baking soda, so this, that is why I'm saying that this is a mixture, this is not a compound. This is not a compound. Again, I am repeating it. This is a mixture, because we are preparing this baking powder by adding or by mixing baking soda and tartaric acid. Then we prepare baking powder. This is the pure substance, this is the pure substance. But when these two pure substance, they are mixed like that only, without any external heat or something is being given to that. So here this is in the form of a mixture. Now again, this is the, see, why I am flashing this question, because this question is very important from the point of view of your board examination. Give the constituents of baking powder, and why does cake or bread swell, or you can say that it is spongy when you are adding baking powder. You have to write the chemical equation. This is being asked. So baking powder contains sodium hydrogen carbonate and tartaric acid. This you noted down, and it is given in your book also. You can underline that part, because that is very, very important. And the next, why it is spongy when you are adding the this baking powder into the dough which you are preparing for the cake and all. So because this reaction is taking place, and this carbon dioxide, it causes the sponginess, and this is only the reason why the cake or whatever the item you are preparing, that is spongy in nature. Fine. Now come to this. I am coming to the next, that is washing soda. That was the baking soda. Now here it is washing soda. You should know the formula. This year one question was being asked, that how the washing soda is prepared from baking soda. Write down the entire equations utilized. So I am telling you that you have to write these all the three equation. If it is asked how the baking soda is being prepared, then from the baking soda, how you are heating it, converting into sodium carbonate with the liberation of carbon dioxide and water. This sodium carbonate, when added with 10 molecules of water, it gives sodium carbonate decahydrate. Deca means 10, and hydrate means water. So this is the chemical formula of sodium carbonate decahydrate, that is the washing soda. Now again I am telling you, if you are writing the formula of washing soda, sodium carbonate, then you will get 0 marks. Again I am repeating, the formula of washing soda is Na2CO3.10H2O, not Na2CO3. This is simply a compound which is known as sodium carbonate. This is not washing soda. Again and again I am repeating, because students, they commit this mistake and then they lose their marks also. So how we can prepare it? By heating the sodium bicarbonate, which changes or which gives sodium carbonate along with water and carbon dioxide. And this sodium carbonate, when it combines with 10 molecules of water, it gives sodium carbonate decahydrate. So I hope you are very clear about this session. Whatever we have explained and we have discussed today should be very clear. And after that, the uses are there, which will take time. So I will not continue in this session. I will continue in the other session, that how we can use the sodium carbonate decahydrate. Before that, before completion, I just want to explain one topic, because we have come across the this we have come across this water of crystallization. So I just want to, yesterday also Utkarsh, I think so, he asked, okay ma'am, what is the meaning of that water of crystallization? So I just want to tell you that what is water of crystallization. This, it is the fixed number of water molecules which are chemically attached to each formula unit of a salt. Fine. Means when you are saying that a crystal, so water inside must be present in the crystal. That is why they are in the form of a crystal, because when you heat, it becomes powder. This is the amorphous form of the salt. So this is having some certain particular arrangement. Fine. So this is a geometrical figure which you can observe when you will observe the crystals, but there will be no such geometrical arrangement of the you can say the molecules where you can see the arrangement of the ions inside it. Fine. So when we are talking about the water of crystallization, so you just want to know also, and I just want to explain it also. Just note it down: the fixed amount of water that is associated with the crystals and which forms an integral part of the crystal, that is known as water of crystallization. If this formula which you can see on your screen, copper sulfate dot 5H2O, that is having 5 water molecules, so what we are going to call this 5 water molecules? Water of crystallization. So crystallization is a process by which the crystals of a substance are obtained from a hot saturated solution by cooling, and all the crystals of a pure compound are similar in shape, and when you heat them, the water molecules get evaporated and the salt changes into not in a, it will not no more in a crystal form, it will be in a powdered form. So this water of crystallization is in loose chemical combination and can be driven out by heating the salt above 100 degrees Celsius. I hope now you are clear with this term. See, this is the green vitriol, FeSO4.7H2O, where you have read about the thermal decomposition of ferrous sulfate. So when we heat, the 7 molecules of water gets evaporated. Now we will continue in the next session. I hope that this was all enough, because otherwise it is going to bounce. So children, we will meet in the next session after the vacations. After 15 days, we will meet together, and by that time keep on revising, and if you are having any doubt, you can ask me on my WhatsApp number. Bye children.